things?
Well, you're quoting a document that was in part falsified. They say a lot of things, and the video doesn't. I am absolutely saying that that report was falsified, 100%.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today, I've stumbled across this video where Nancy Mace, the representative from South Carolina, sits down with Kaitlin Collins on CNN, and things get intense. We're talking about healthcare policy, the fracture happening inside the MAGA movement, with Marjorie Taylor Greene calling out the president, and then it takes a wild turn into this airport incident where Nancy is basically calling out the police for falsifying reports against her. This is one of those interviews where you see a politician under fire refusing to back down, and the media trying to corner her at every turn. So make sure you watch until the end, and please comment down below where you're watching from. I really love to see people from all over the world connecting in here. All right now, let's get into the video.
We don't have price transparency. Trump is working on that now. But because of the lack of competition in the market, because of government subsidies, because of overregulations, the cost of healthcare is exponential today. It is unattainable and unaffordable for most middle-class Americans. And thank God there are businesses who have come on board that pay for healthcare premiums that at least partially are in full when you're talking to small businesses. But there are a lot of government regulations we have to remove and also quantify. We have in South Carolina, for example, doctors, when they leave a hospital system to start their own practice, they can't compete with the hospital within a certain mileage. I mean, it's just crazy what we're doing to the healthcare market.
So you're a Republican, and you're saying you have not seen a Republican plan.
I've not seen any language. No language. There's no language that's been out. If we're going to vote on healthcare next week, which is a rumor, no one has seen the plan. We haven't read it. I would like to see it. I would like to put my teeth into it, because I look at a state like South Carolina where overregulation has hurt the market, and I want to make sure that whether we're talking about PBMs, whether we're talking about pharmaceuticals, whether we're talking about a nurse practitioner, just basically being able to execute what she's certified and qualified to do, these small changes can make a huge, huge difference in the healthcare market.
And Marjorie Taylor Greene is someone who has also voiced her concerns with Republican leadership. She's actually resigning from her position, from her job as a member of Congress in just a few weeks from now. This is what she said earlier today when she was here on CNN about the president.
I feel very sorry for President Trump. I genuinely do. It has to be a hard place for someone that is constantly so hateful and puts so much vitriol, name-calling, and really tells lies about people in order to try to get his way or win some kind of fight.
Do you agree with her?
I agree that President Trump is a fighter, and he's fighting for values that the American people believe.
Well, she wasn't saying that in a good way.
Very, very effective. And, you know, it does sadden me to see President Trump and Marjorie Taylor Greene be at odds with one another. I want the MAGA movement to be cohesive, to be together. The MAGA movement is what delivered President Trump the presidency in November. That's why he ran in a landslide. I like his ideas. I like his policies. I'm also sad to see Marjorie Taylor Greene go. I think she's been very smart, very effective. She knows procedural motions. She knows legislation. She was effective on the oversight committee, was a serious lawmaker. And, you know, it's going to hurt us in the long run. But she's also right. They're both right. And we're not delivering on our promises or on Trump's promises. And Trump was actually caught on the hot mic yesterday lamenting that Republicans haven't implemented his attorney generals, like permanently installed them yet. The time's going to run out. And so I agree with him on his frustration, and hers too. They're not mutually exclusive.
You were involved in an incident at the Charleston airport back in October. There was an internal police investigation report that came out in recent days. It says that you turned...
Okay, so Nancy Mace is talking about healthcare, and you can immediately see she gets it. She's breaking down exactly what's wrong with the system. The overregulation, the government subsidies killing competition, the fact that doctors in South Carolina literally can't compete with hospitals within certain mileage. That's insane. That's government creating monopolies, and then wondering why healthcare costs are exploding. She's pointing to real solutions: price transparency, removing regulations, letting nurse practitioners actually do what they're certified to do. These aren't radical ideas. These are common sense market fixes that would actually help middle-class Americans afford care. But then Kaitlin Collins drops this bomb. She reads Marjorie Taylor Greene's statement, and listen to what Marjorie said about the president. She said this: "I feel very sorry for him. It has to be a hard place for someone that is constantly so hateful and puts so much vitriol, name-calling, and really tells lies about people." That's Marjorie Taylor Greene. one of the most vocal MAGA supporters in Congress, is now calling the president hateful and a liar on CNN. This is the fracture happening in real time. And watch how Nancy handles this. She doesn't panic. She doesn't stammer. Nancy said this: "I agree that the president is a fighter, and he's fighting for values that the American people believe." Perfect pivot. She reframes it immediately. Yes, he's a fighter. That's what we need. That's what delivered the landslide victory. She acknowledges the tension with Marjorie, but she's not throwing anyone under the bus. She says both of them are right in their frustrations, because here's the reality. And Nancy said this: "We're not delivering on our promises or on the president's promises. That is the actual problem. It's not about personality conflicts or name-calling. It's about results. It's about the fact that we won in November, and Republicans still haven't implemented basic promises. The Attorney General situation, the healthcare plan that nobody's seen, the timeline running out." Nancy is threading an incredibly difficult needle here. She's defending the president against attacks from her own party, while also acknowledging the legitimate frustration that promises aren't being kept. That takes skill. That takes political intelligence. Because here's what a lot of people don't understand about movements. They're not cults. They're not about blind loyalty to one person. They're about principles and results. And when those results aren't happening, when the establishment is blocking the agenda that voters demanded, you're supposed to get frustrated. You're supposed to hold leadership accountable. That's not disloyalty. That's being serious about governing. Nancy gets that. She's trying to keep the coalition together while pushing for actual action. And instead of getting credit for that balancing act, she's about to get ambushed with something completely different.
What was described as a minor miscommunication by police into a spectacle and left airport employees visibly upset. What was your reaction when you read this report?
Well, part of the report was actually falsified in the documents that were released by the airport yesterday. I want to thank the airport for releasing them. We asked for all the video, all the audio, everything, all the body cam, and the video that was released yesterday showed me asking TSA agents for help and for assistance. And conveniently, there is no audio that goes with it. And the last time that I checked was asking for help isn't against the law, nor is being frustrated. We saw in the aftermath of Charlie Kirk's death, numerous death threats just exponentially multiply. I have multiple people sitting in jail right now behind bars without bond because of the death threats that I receive on a daily basis. So I take my security seriously, and that to me is very, very important. And I back the blue. I back our police. I back our security. In my district in South Carolina, I've gotten millions of dollars for local law enforcement to support them in their efforts to keep our communities safe. But what's not okay is falsifying reports, falsifying incident reports. I've taken on top cops like Kim Cheadle after Donald Trump was shot. I helped force her resignation when she came through with the oversight.
You just said you backed the blue. The police quote you in this report as you calling them effing idiots and effing incompetent while stating that you're an effing representative and telling a TSA supervisor, "I'm sick of your shit. I'm tired of having to wait. I should not have to wait. You guys are always effing late, and this is effing ridiculous." Are you saying you didn't say those things?
Well, you're quoting a document that was in part falsified. They say a lot of things, and the video doesn't show that. There's no audio. I asked for all the body cam footage and the audio. They also state in the report that there was an incident at the gate. The video shows nothing that didn't happen. And so for me, it's important that we tell the truth. And I've taken responsibility. Yes, I was absolutely 100%
But
frustrated.
did you say those things that that I just read?
No, I did not. I mean, I definitely...
So you're saying the police officers are lying?
No, I'm saying that is in part false. And that is a falsified document. There are things in there, most of what's in there that's quoted is not true. So that to me is important that we tell the truth. I asked for audio and I asked for body cam footage and they didn't release it. They say it doesn't exist. I asked for that because I think it's important that we tell the truth and show. I don't even remember that morning, but what I do remember is being at the gate and being on a conference call. And like last time I checked...
You don't remember having this tense interaction with the officers?
Oh, I definitely was frustrated, 100% frustrated. I definitely, when the law enforcement finally showed up for the security detail, I absolutely was frustrated. But the video that they released are showing me asking for help. Like I asked TSA agents for help when I was looking for
there's also part of the video, where you speaking to a TSA agent, there's also part of the video where you're walking down the hallway and there are two officers behind you. I assume they're the ones who spoke to the
and where I'm pointing, I was pointing to a security desk.
So Kaitlin completely switches topics. No transition, no warning, straight into, "You were involved in an incident at the Charleston airport." And she starts reading from this police report. Listen to what the report claims. It says Nancy turned what was described as a minor miscommunication into a spectacle and left airport employees visibly upset. Okay, first of all, minor miscommunication? Nancy is a sitting member of Congress who receives death threats. She mentioned multiple people are literally sitting in jail right now for threatening her. This isn't paranoia. These are documented federal cases. And we're supposed to believe she overreacted about her security detail being late? But it gets worse. Kaitlin reads more accusations. She said the police quote you as calling them effing idiots and effing incompetent while stating you're an effing representative. These are incredibly specific quotes, right? Very detailed. This should be easy to prove. There should be body cam footage. There should be audio. And that's exactly what Nancy asks for. Nancy responds immediately and says this: "You're quoting a document that was in part falsified." Falsified. She's not saying I was frustrated, but I didn't mean it. She's not saying those words were taken out of context. She's saying the document itself contains lies. And she points out the most important detail. There's video, but conveniently, no audio. The airport released footage showing her asking TSA agents for help, pointing to the security desk, requesting assistance. That's what the video shows. But the report claims she was screaming profanities at cops. Think about this logically for a second. Nancy Mace has been in public life for years. She was the first woman to graduate from the Citadel. She's been through intense scrutiny. She knows everything she does can be weaponized against her. And we're supposed to believe she went on an unhinged, profanity-laced tirade at an airport, in public, with cameras everywhere, knowing she's a high-profile target? Does that make sense? Or does it make more sense that she was frustrated about a security issue, expressed that frustration, and now that frustration is being exaggerated or completely fabricated to humiliate her? Because here's what's really happening. Nancy Mace has been a thorn in the side of certain people. She went after the Secret Service director after the assassination attempt. She forced Kim Cheadle's resignation. She holds powerful people accountable. And what happens when you do that? The system fights back. Not with facts, not with policy debates, with character assassination, with leaked reports that can't be verified because the audio mysteriously doesn't exist. It's the same playbook we've seen over and over. You challenge authority, suddenly there's an incident report painting you as unstable and abusive. Nancy isn't backing down, though. She's asking for the full evidence. She's demanding the body cam footage with audio. She's calling out the falsification directly. That's not the behavior of someone who's guilty and scrambling. That's someone who knows the truth and wants it exposed.
Where the airport security usually sit and wait. And I was asking the TSA agent if she could call down to the security desk and get assistance for me. So, like, that's not asking TSA for help isn't against the law.
But are you saying that you never said any of these quotes? That every single one is a lie?
You have to read it to me again. I did
effing
not
idiots,
say that. I did not call them
and
idiots.
You're an effing representative.
I did not say that. I did not.
And you didn't
call,
say, "I'm sick of your shit. I'm tired of having to wait. I should not have to wait. You guys are always effing late. This is effing ridiculous."
No. I mean, no. I've never called a cop an idiot. That is a remarkably false
But you're saying these police officers are lying then who spoke to the investigators?
I am absolutely saying that report was falsified, 100% fictitious, falsified. They were not there. They did not show up. I was very frustrated with the situation because of the number of death threats that I received. And I expressed that frustration, but in no way, shape, or form did I call any of them idiots. I didn't even know that was in the report until you told me just now. I have never called someone an idiot. That is shocking to me.
When you look back on that day, and what you said, I guess you haven't read the report if you haven't.
Well, I've read part of it. I just, it was such a political hit job.
Do you regret, I think everyone can understand being concerned about being a public figure, especially being a member of Congress, especially after the Charlie Kirk assassination. But do you regret your actions and how you did speak towards the airport employees or the police officers that day?
Well, expressing one's frustration isn't illegal. Like, it's not, you can be frustrated.
No one's saying you committed a crime. I think they're just saying,
they filed a police incident report. Like, the idea that expressing one's frustration is an arrest.
So Kaitlin keeps pushing. She's reading these specific quotes, asking over and over, "Did you say this? Did you call them idiots? Did you say you shouldn't have to wait?" And Nancy is consistent every single time. "No, I did not say that. I have never called a cop an idiot. That is remarkably false. She's not hedging. She's not saying, I don't recall. She's giving clear, definitive denials. And then Kaitlin asks the key question. She says this, are you saying these police officers are lying? And Nancy doesn't flinch. She said this, I am absolutely saying that that report was falsified, 100% fictitious, falsified. They were not there. They did not show up. That is the core of this entire controversy. Nancy is accusing the airport police of creating a false report. That's a massive accusation. That's not something you say lightly. If she's wrong about this, her career is over. If those quotes are real and she's lying, she's done. So why would she go this hard if she wasn't absolutely certain? Let me explain something about institutional pressure. When you're a public figure, especially a woman in politics, especially a conservative woman, there's this expectation that you're supposed to be perfect all the time. You're supposed to smile and be gracious, even when you're being treated poorly, even when your security is being compromised, even when you're dealing with constant threats on your life. And if you show any frustration, any human emotion, suddenly you're unstable. You're a diva. You're abusive. It's a standard that's applied selectively, and it's designed to keep people compliant. Nancy admits she was frustrated. She says, yes, I was absolutely 100% frustrated because her security detail was late and she takes death threats seriously. That's reasonable. Being frustrated isn't illegal. Expressing frustration isn't abuse. But somehow in this report, that frustration has been transformed into her screaming profanities, calling officers idiots, demanding special treatment, and when she asks for the evidence that would prove what actually happened, that evidence either doesn't exist or isn't being released. Here's what I think is really going on. Nancy Mace has made enemies by holding powerful people accountable. She's not part of the club. She doesn't play the game. And when you operate like that, the system finds ways to clip your wings. Maybe it's a leaked report. Maybe it's anonymous sources. Maybe it's taking a moment where you were justifiably upset and spinning it into something unrecognizable. We've seen this pattern before with people who challenge authority. The question is, will the public see through it, or will they accept the narrative because it's easier to believe a woman in power is just difficult and emotional? Nancy is standing her ground. She's demanding transparency. She's calling out the lies directly. That takes courage, because she knows the media will run with the airport story. She knows it'll be used against her, but she's fighting back anyway, because the truth matters. And if we've learned anything over the past few years, it's that institutional reports and official statements aren't always accurate. Sometimes they're weapons, and Nancy Mace is refusing to be destroyed by one. So what do you guys think of this? Leave your thoughts down in the comments. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.